The sheer amount of tie-in games that litter the PS2's extensive library is actually ridiculous. And while a large amount of them are, how do I put this eloquently, shit. Yeah, shit. Well, hidden beneath the shit were some true standouts that deserve to be remembered for just how great they were. So buckle in as we count down our top 10 favourite PlayStation 2 hidden gems that just so happen to be based off a movie. Somebody once told me you're probably gonna hate me for saying Shrek 2 is a fucking great game. Sure, it's kinda dumb, but the main thing is it's fun, so fuck you. Yes, you heard that right. This game was the shit when I was growing up and is still the perfect slice of cooperative hilarity even to this day. This co-op brawler is packed full of charm, action, a wealth of characters, collectibles, genuinely impressive level design, and shake-ups to the standard gameplay formula, which all combine to create a wacky and wonderful adventure that has no right to be so goddamn good. It's bright, colourful with graphics that still hold up pretty well today, and thanks to the simple yet addictive gameplay loop, anyone can get involved and have a good time with this one. If you know, you know.
Shrek, you're right, donkey. This is a fun game.
Shrek 2, the game. Rated E for everyone. Available now.
While the movie has become a cult classic these days, upon its release it was largely ignored or just shat on completely, so it's no surprise many of us passed on the Constantine game adaptation when it released, which is truly a shame as this dark and grim third-person action adventure is not only brimming with style, but also some innovative realm-switching mechanics that's used for some creative puzzles but also smartly implemented into the level design, which keeps the game feeling extremely fresh throughout. Sure, the gameplay is your typical run and gun affair, yet to spice it up, you have access to Constantine's various spells and abilities which help you turn the tide against all the demonic nasties trying to rip your face off. Casting spells and shooting on the fly is extremely fun once you get to grips with it, and this combined with your enchanted weaponry make you feel like a true demon-slaying badass. It's by no means a flawless game, but its engaging story, normal and hell, realm-swapping mechanic, environmental puzzles, and relatively smooth gunplay make this a worthy addition to any gamer's collection. Even after 25 years, people can't seem to get enough of The Nightmare Before Christmas, can they? Walk into most stores and you'll still see Disney milking the movie for all it's worth with clocks, toys and clothes, etc, while not even considering giving fans a long-awaited sequel. But let's be honest, modern Disney would probably royally fuck it up anyway, so it's props for the best. If you are a fan of the movie though, it may come as a shock to know that we actually did get a follow-up to the original story in the form of a video game titled Nightmare Before Christmas Oogies Revenge, a game that picks up the story of Jack and crew 1 year after the events of the film. When playing Oogies Revenge, you really can tell a lot of time, love, care, and attention to detail has been poured into fleshing out the events of the game to tie into the world, story, and characters that made the movie the cultural phenomenon that it is. The game is essentially a slightly easier DMC with a more simplified moveset to play with, but that really doesn't stop the game from being a challenging blast to play, and thanks to an incredible soundtrack you'll be humming along while you smash enemies, destroy bosses, level up, and exploring and interacting with the captivating world that is stunningly recreated to look like it was ripped straight from the movie.
Something's missing. There's got to be a way to make Halloween more hideous, more terrifying, more frightening. This can't go on. You've got to do better, Jack.
I'm gonna hide this tape when I'm finished. If none of us make it, at least there'll be some kind of a record. The storm's been hitting us pretty hard now for 48 hours. We still have nothing to go on. One other thing. I think it rips through your clothes when it takes you over. We're all very tired. There's nothing else I can do. Just wait.
Next up, we have another sequel in the form of a video game, and that's the 2002 master of tension-induced paranoia, that is The Thing. At its mutated heart, this game is a third-person survival horror shooter hybrid that truly stands out thanks to effortlessly managing to capture the tone, atmosphere, and dread of John Carpenter's 1982 masterpiece, exploring the aftermath of the events of the original movie and discovering all the winks, nods, and Easter eggs littered throughout the cold, desolate Antarctic environment is enough alone to easily recommend giving this one a go, but it's the anxiety and fear installing suspense of not knowing who to trust or what to believe, all while trying to keep you and the others around you calm enough to complete your mission that makes this one a true gem for the system. Thanks to the controls, managing your team of different class soldiers is a breeze. Well, until they've seen too much monstrosities and decide to lose their virtual shit. But that's just part of the fun. The rest of the game is better left experience for yourselves, so if you can handle the paranoia, The Thing is a must play for all gamers.
You guilty.
Another game that apes the successful DMC formula with a lot less polish but is still a super fun game nonetheless is Ghost Rider. The game offers a unique blend of DMC inspired action, some platforming, and a few fiery motorcycle segments for good measure too. What really makes this game a true gem, however, is just how solid, meaty, and impactful the combat actually feels. Quite literally, chaining together your light, heavy, and special attacks with a handy shotgun blast to the face is fast, fluid, and also satisfying. The enemies are a bit bland on the creativity side, but honestly the graphics are really decent here. Well, that is considering how little time and budget the devs had to summon this one into the world. Unlike most high-end titles, with this one, you can tell the team behind it respected the source material the game and movie was based off. I mean, they even managed to get Bloody Blade in this goddamn thing, and once you complete the game, he even becomes a fully playable character. Ghost Rider is a short, sweet, yet hellishly good time, well worth checking out. When people mention the great games of old set in the Star Wars universe, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Rogue Squadron? Knights of the Old Republic? Maybe Force Unleashed? This is what I see time and time again, with the game that always gets overlooked being the absolute banger that is Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, as not only is the lightsaber combat exceptional, but also because it added a ton of cut content that was supposed to be in the movie the game's based off, leading to Revenge of the Sith feeling like George Lucas's original vision for the movie. Just in game form. I mean, there's even a whole freaking level where you play as Darkside Anakin as he bloody massacres every Jedi dumb enough to stand in his way. The game also features incredibly tense duels in the boss fights and a quite robust leveling system to boot too. The game is packed with content, but one of my favourite features though is that you can play through the final battle as Anakin, which if you win, you'll get a completely new ending, far removed from that of the original. Why hello there, bye bye bitch. The multiplayer goodness doesn't end there however, as the game also touts a full 1v1 versus mode just because they could. Add a ton of other extra modes where you can play as countless other Jedi and you have the perfect Star Wars package that deserves a bloody remake.
Bond. James Bond.
It's been said that Sean Connery was quickly removed from GoldenEye's multiplayer due to the fear he may sue old Nintendo. Fast forward to the next console generation and we get a full Sean Connery likeness and voice game based on the From Russia with Love movie. Go figure. This special throwback to the golden age of Bond movies really has no right to be as good as it is, but everything about this game just nails the feel, style, and overall magic of the old Bond movies down to a T. The cover-based third-person shooting is simple yet fun, the environments are gorgeously detailed, and the game's fast-paced nature means there's never a dull moment. Add some light RPG elements, hand-to-hand combat, and a few bombastic vehicle segments, and you have a Bond game up there with the best.
You're a big one. You'll be hard to digest.
I'd hate to be such a nuisance.
The Van Helsing movie may be considered a flop, but it's still a very guilty pleasure of mine, as is the tie-in video game that accompanied the movie. This one is made of some horror-infused DMC hacking and slashing elements, but is kind of more focused on all-out bombastic gunplay. Just like DMC, the overall gameplay is a dance of swords, knives, gadgets and bullets as you cut your way through the dark forces that have taken over the land, which includes boss fights with the likes of Dracula, Frankenstein, Igor and more. However, the gameplay is not just mindless button mashing, as certain enemy types will have you having to work out the best strategy and weapons to use to vanquish the little buggers. This is all done in some pretty varied locations. The Transylvanian castles and villages are a great backdrop to the all-out action, and they really do stand out thanks to the graphics being really impressive. But I do have to mention that the intuitive controls and combat loop are let down by a slightly dodgy camera. But if you can look past that, then Van Helsing becomes an action-packed fantasy romp sure to leave a smile on your face.
I'm Batman.
The Arkham games will always reign supreme as the goats of Bat's gaming ventures, but yet I have to give Batman Begins a shout out, as turning Christopher Nolan's first entry into his Bat trilogy into an action-packed adventure is a true feat of skill. Anyway, getting back on point, Batman Begins is a level-based action romp that mixes up its brawling with platforming and some nice stealth sections. The game bolsters not only incredible graphics, well, for the time anyway, but the sound design and especially the voice acting are also top tier here too, which really does help to immerse you into the gritty city of Gotham and the game. The combat here is pretty solid and mostly fluid, and the stealth sections have a Splinter Cell whiff to them, which to me was a nice touch. It's by no means going to make you forget about the Arkham games anytime soon, but yet for its time it really was a solid effort to bring the big screen Batman to consoles, and well worth checking out.
Okay, so what do you need besides a miracle?
Guns. Lots of guns.
When The Matrix dropped in 1999, I was only 9 years old, and I instantly fell in love with it. Sure, I didn't understand or even appreciate all the complex themes, but what I did like was the action. So much so, I'd pretend to be Neo and practice my kicks and punches on non-existent bad guys in the garden. Sad, I know, but as fun as it was diving around in pretend slow-mo, I still couldn't help but dream of playing as Neo in a Matrix-based video game. The closest I got at the time though was the awesome Matrix level in Conker's Bad Fur Day, which I replayed a lot. And then we got the sequels, which I wasn't too fond of, but to my disbelief we finally got Into the Matrix, and I hated it. But there was light at the end of the tunnel in the form of The Matrix: The Path of Neo, a game that finally let me live out my power fantasy and play as the One himself. And I gotta say, even replaying this game all these years later, Path of Neo is a truly insane kung fu blast that really does still pack a mighty punch. The game isn't based off one particular movie and instead retells a slightly reimagined story of Neo's path from lonely desk clerk to the almighty god we know him as. The gunplay may not really hit the mark and is a bit all over the place, but this game really comes to life when it's time for some good old fisticuffs, as it should. The kung fu in this game is absolutely insane and lets you pull off some of the most ridiculous feats of shithousery to ever be programmed into a game. Check this out.
Upgrades.
If that doesn't make you moist, I'm not sure what will. The game also expands on the story vastly and shows you each of the 3 movies from Neo's perspective, as there's no lengthy standing around boring talking, and instead you're just mainly busting some skulls. What's not to like? And that's a wrap, folks. If you're wondering why I didn't include The Godfather or Scarface, well, they're going to be included in other planned videos that I have. Thanks for watching, I'll see you guys soon. Until next time, you guys stay tipsy.